Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. I'm Jon Carter, and on today's episode we're joined by candidate for Mars One project, Mikołaj Zieliński. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here.
So you kind of touched on it a little bit about what you'll be doing potentially you'll be doing in your everyday life there. You know, you mentioned about the exercise and a little bit about going out onto the surface as well. Could you sort of talk us through how you envisage an everyday life on Mars?
Okay, so before we go to Mars, we will send some hardware to make the habitat ready to live there. So we will send autonomous robots, and we will start producing breathable air on Mars and water. And we will monitor it for 1 year to make sure that everything is safe for humans. And only if the habitat on Mars, the outpost, will be in good condition and atmosphere inside will be also safe, meaning proper temperature, proper air pressure, proper level of CO2 and nitrogen, and oxygen, of course, everything, then we will send humans to Mars. So once we arrive on Mars, we already can enter a habitat and we can live there, sleep there. We will have some food, water, and spacesuits, life support system, backup life support system. Everything will be there. And like you go to a hotel for holidays and you have toothbrush and towel and everything
Slightly
ready.
different.
Yeah. And so what we will have to do first will be to complete some work that autonomous rovers wouldn't be able to do. Like make, for example, connection between some units, deploy solar panels, and things like this. And then we will start preparing the habitat for the following mission, because we are going to send to Mars every 2 years new crew. And so we will have to extend the outpost, add more living units, deploy more solar panels, add additional life support system and one more backup life support system, and make sure that when another crew arrives, more water is produced, more oxygen is produced, and instead of one team, 2 teams will be able to survive.
So there's groups of like 6 within each living unit. 4, sorry. Yeah. So there's groups of 4 within each living unit. What's the kind of rough size of this living unit?
So it will be a tube, 5 meters diameter and 25 meters long. And this will be our living unit. So it will be, let's say, 4 times like this studio, more or less, maybe bigger.
Okay, so it's about then the size of, well, let's say twice the size of a person's average flat.
Yes, it will be quite small, confined, and there will be no privacy, which may cause some issues. And that's why we will be together training in one team for 10 years to make sure that we are okay in such, with no privacy between each other. Because indeed, with some random people, it may be not so funny. If you have to share all the time you see the same 3 faces, it doesn't matter if things are going well or not. And even if you go to toilet, everyone can hear what's going there because everything is so small, so each room is so small and so close.
Mars One is a highly ambitious project aiming to establish a permanent human settlement on Mars. It might sound like science fiction, but they have scheduled several unmanned missions in the next few years, which will create a habitable settlement before rigorously trained crews depart to Mars. This team is yet to be established. There is currently a 100-person shortlist under evaluation, with that eventually being whittled down to 24 before the candidates undergo some of the toughest psychological training known to humanity. The shortlist includes people from all around the world with a variety of backgrounds, including the only Polish citizen. Mikołaj Zieliński. Mikołaj is a software programmer with a passion for science, discovery and adventure. 5 years ago, he learnt about the Marso One project and, given that the only initial conditions for application were being aged over 18, he immediately applied. However, Mikołaj is not your average wannabe astronaut. His strong desire to discover and help civilization have led him to be prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice and never return to Earth. The objective of Marso One project is colonialization of Mars. Now, in your opinion, how realistic is that goal?
So the word colonialization, it can be understood in different ways. Like, for example, by colonialization, people may think that we already have cities on the entire planet. Okay, this is not going to happen very soon. This is required first to be able to use in situ resources, to be able to produce plastic, concrete, glass and everything from resources on Mars, not to bring them from Earth. Mm-hmm. So this will take time. But like, for example, it was in the movie The Martian, where the main character was growing potatoes. He said once that once you grow food on Mars, you colonialize the planet. Or once you grow food on some celestial body, you colonialized it. So in that way, it's better to say that Marso One is trying to enable colonialization than colonializing, because if you have just a little, like today in Antarctica, we have several research stations of different countries, but there is only one building with 20 scientists living there. And in the beginning, something like this will be on Mars. There will be small group of people trying to survive in harsh environment, very rarely going out, doing some science experiments inside and living normal life, trying to live normal life there.
So I suppose colonialization it's more about self-sufficiency, and no reliance on what's happening on Earth and the materials from Earth.
This will be very, very important, and one of first tasks to figure out how to, for example, to build with 3D printers bigger constructions and use for 3D printers input something which is available, for example, Martian soil, mixed maybe with something, but really use only what is available on Mars. The same with water, recycle water, and not without need to, like International Space Station they are recycling water, but they are using a chemical reaction called Sabatier reaction, which requires input of hydrogen, if I am not mistaken. So from time to time you have to deliver hydrogen from Earth to ISS. And if we can, for example, improve methods that we use to recycle water, air, especially oxygen, and be completely independent from Earth, then this will be very, very important and a great achievement for people on Mars. And also it will be great for people on Earth, because by improving techniques of recycling everything what we can, this will be a good example, and it will be probably used on Earth in some places where access to water is limited and so on. So actually this is also, like, we are touching now the problem which is raised very often, that we go to space but we have so many problems on Earth. But by solving those problems in space, we can show that we can find solutions for Earth's problem also.